going to be saying some things today, then the only way I know that you are with me is if you will to say, woo, or yay, clap, whatever you have, but just give me feedback, if you will. I want you to know first that you all are worthless. You're worthless. That was the persuasion under which I lived since I was 10 years old. The time when the Lebanese Civil War broke out, the time when my world changed. The feeling of worthlessness was quantifiable. Oh, we're only worth the price of the round of an AK-47. My parents said casually and frequently. The price, to put it in context, was 5 cents a nickel. Not only it was quantifiable, it was indisputable. You see, where you live by accident, where it's lawless and where massacres are committed and no one is held accountable, and no murderer is arrested, and where the second explosion erases the memory of the one before, you know it's a fact that you're worthless. And that's where I lived. That's where I grew up until I immigrated to the United States. So some of you might be wondering now, what value would a self-proclaimed worthless man bring to this platform, or to the world for this matter? I bring a vision of a world of citizens magnetized by the uniqueness of each, for all to live in peace and prosper, all regardless of any ethnic, religious, or cultural affiliation, and sexual orientation. Can I get an endorsement on that? Thank you. I don't only bring a vision and statements, I want to share with you today a way forward. I want to tell you and impress upon you to know that the frontier of peace, where it's forged, is not in the battlefield. The most formidable frontier to forge sustainable peace is nowhere else but in every single family room worldwide. That's where we can forge sustainable peace. So now some of you might also be wondering, well, who do you think you are? You're just another guy with no blood on your hands. You're no Brad Pitt. Why should I listen to you? So I will tell you this. I lived in the Middle East, and I witnessed and saw suffering, disability, and early death committed by those who stopped questioning the means of their salvation. I saw the work products of the soldiers of Moses, Jesus, and Muhammad, and they have one thing in common: they committed crimes against humanity. Can I get a yes on this one, please? I have seen brains spilled out of a skull, a fetus dangle out of its dead mother's navel. I lived in Abraham's nightmare and Satan's fantasy. And only when I started reflecting, when I began to write a novel inspired by my life, did I realize that in pursuit of rightfulness for a holy land, so many people consumed all their righteousness. That region divided the world more successfully than any other in recent history. There are people who are pro-Palestinian, and there are people who are pro-Israelis, and people who do that siphon their humanity in the sewage of war. There is an Israeli mother today living, accepting sudden loss of her child due to a rocket as a condition of her humanity. There are children who live, born and raised behind the security line I call the perimeter of habituation, believing that that's how it was, is, and always will be. And that is normal. A perimeter made out of concrete and fences. And I'm familiar with that perimeter because I lived inside 4 square miles for 15 years. And when I was 23 years old, I got the opportunity. I won a job interview in East Beirut. And I went to the crossing that was buffered by the Lebanese army to make the interview. And the soldier rejected my plea to cross. And guess what I did? You know I didn't want to go back, right? I didn't want to go back where I was around sad people for a very long time. Here we call them chronically depressed people, where I didn't know when the world will end. I begged. I said, I beg you, please let me through. I have nothing. All I got is this job interview. Please let me through. He cocked the M16 and told me, get out of here, you donkey. I turned around, but not to go home. And what happened to you when you are in a situation like this, when you're in despair, and when I mean despair as in even if I died trying. I remembered there was a wooded park that buffered east from West Beirut, and I went to it, and I leaped over into that park that had only a few charred stumps and a handful of pine trees. And I ran for 50 yards in that park to the first tree I could find. I made success. I thought maybe I'll just go through the entire park and go to the other side that way. And I looked around, and a quarter mile deeper, there was a wall of debilitated buildings that I knew was full of snipers whose position is intentional to shoot invaders. I didn't care. I turned around and I kept running. Halfway through, I heard shots fired. I dove to the ground to slide to the closest stump I could find, and I scanned the ground for sand puffs. And the weight of my decision sank in. What the heck have I done? What am I doing here? I never told anyone that I would be taking this route or going to an interview. And the carcass-feeding dogs, if I got stuck there for days and I got shot, the carcass-feeding dogs would devour my corpse and no one would know my fate. Without any thought, I turned around and I kept going until I reached the other side. I jumped, I blended with traffic, and made the job interview on time. Thank you. And the GM and his assistant received me. They were marveled. You know, the GM, to give you that executive presence, what they do is they go behind the desk and light up a cigarette and go, I am impressed. Your punctuality is priceless, but I can't hire you. That rejection demoralized me to a new low. And then his assistant tapped me on the thigh, and guess what he said? You're a good Muslim man. A good Muslim man? His statement set off my internal rage. A good Muslim man? You don't know anything about me. Who gave you, who bestowed upon you the religious perceptivity to judge my devoutness? You don't know anything about me. A good Muslim man? I cared less. I was prepared to mine gold for this company, these people, with sewer up to my chest. And I got, you're a good Muslim man. I wanted a piece of blue sky over my head. That's all I wanted. Access and means to my smaller dreams. All I wanted was to be seen as a unique individual with a unique journey and aspirations. And I came to the United States with that quest. In 1989, I immigrated to the United States, wanting everything to do with the land of the free and nothing to do with the home of the brave. I paid my dues. And then I began to experience new revelations. You know, when you're roaming free, no one is judging you, what happens is you start bumping into your personal mental bars of imprisonment. Something silly, like somebody keeping the door open for you while you're standing there and you're looking, what do you want? Coming from more of like, is this a trap? And then, oh, give me some respect. So these are silly stuff like that. And every time I conquered one, I felt liberated and more at peace with myself and others until 9/11. Until 9/11, when I began to observe so many Americans and Westerners opting into bars of imprisonment and concrete stereotypes thrown at them by evil influencers. Until 9/11, where the history of the Arab and Muslim world somehow started. And I want to share with you today what alarms me. Because so far, you might be thinking, well, why do I care about this topic? It's all there. I'm here. Why do I care? Tonight I'm going to have some beer, and Monday I'm going to go back to work. Well, you should care, because I am very concerned. My eyes equip me to see signs that are freaking me out about what's taking place in the Western world and my new home, the United States. I am terrified that the religious convictions and ethnic and cultural lines are hardening in the United States. I know because I was cultured into radicalism, ideological radicalism, and ripened for violence, militant radicalism. I know the signs. And I am deeply concerned that the United States is a multi-faith nation that's becoming sectarian. Not only sectarian, but denominational. And now people are asking, a Sunni or Shia? You kidding me? People got killed over that answer where I came from. What is that behind that question? I'm also concerned that the American dream is gradually transforming into every immigrant's nightmare. And I will tell you what I'm seeing. First, the factors that are culturing radicals here in the United States are first, venomous rhetoric. The nationally syndicated subject matter experts who answer the wrong question brilliantly. Those who mastered the speed of talk like, enunciate like, dress like, speed talk like, and told lies years after years, and we believed their lies, and the lies became our reality. They make statements like, they leave the desert, and it's us who have to adapt to them. I quoted that. Who's us and who's them? Us? Government? White? Black? Hindu? Muslim? Christian? Who's us? Liberals? Conservatives? Who's them? A Muslim in Indonesia is nothing like a Muslim in Bosnia. Neither one of them speaks Arabic. Us? And bury their head in the sand? Hold on a minute. First time I saw the sand and the desert was when I drove my family in 2008 to the Grand Canyon. That was the first time I saw the desert. These statements. Second thing is bias narrative. There are politicians who are blaming each other and each party on the breach of security in the United States. And you know what? If your agenda is to divide the nation, then you got citizens who will turn on each other one day, and beware. I've seen it. Third thing is the virtue in geopolitical context. Virtue in geopolitical context. Where I came from, people did not, get this, did not fire around for financial gains or acreage. They didn't. But there were people who mastered rallying the masses with one potent uniting cry, which was religion. They made it a holy calling, and people started killing and dying for it. And there are politicians in this country who are augmenting their agendas with religious unity. Beware. Can I get a hand on this? Thank you. It's terrifying. And the fourth thing is catchy slogans. Slogans like, where I came from, Yasser Arafat. Who knows of Yasser Arafat? The Palestinian Liberation Organization. This is an educated crowd. He used to say, it's a revolution until victory. Revolution until victory meant the annihilation of the Jews, bring back Palestine the way it was before World War II. Here, guess what I'm hearing? 9/11, never forget. Okay, I bought into never forget, and I take a moment to commemorate the victims who lost their lives on 9/11, but I came to the realization over the years that there are some people using never forget to springboard sentiments of revenge. The fifth thing is symbols. Yasser Arafat, where I came from, will do this victory sign. I see children doing V sign. I know what that means. They are, when they become victorious, that means somebody else died. That's what victory means. There's always somebody dead. Well, here we reduce the entire body of the United States military that consists of honorable men and women to what? A ribbon. Support our troops. A ribbon The only ribbon I want to see is the one cut in the opening ceremony of the revived agency that will attend to the physical and emotional healing of the veterans who are returning from these wars. Can I get a yes on this one? We are more vested in wars, not in healing. So I want to take you how we move forward from this. How do we move forward? Well, we move forward by unsubscribing from all this. And I remember a story when I rode with my father in the combat zone to go out and get some supplies. I sat next to my father in the car, and to get out of the combat zone, he had to drive very carefully over rubble, shrapnel, shards of glass, and speed up in front of a sniper intersection to get out. And we took a ramp, cleared the bridge, and suddenly the front windshield turned into a canvas of spider cracks, followed by the smoke and the explosion. And that's the sequence of mortar bombs. You don't hear whoosh when you're in the car. All you hear is the shrapnel piercing everything. Then you hear the explosion. My dad slammed the brakes, put the car in reverse, peeled back through the ramp, and the second explosion went exactly where we were. And the car died because the oil leaked from the engine and it locked up. Years later, like I said, I'm reflecting, I'm thinking, why did my father go back? Why did my father go back, not go forward? And I can interpret that he went back, may he rest in peace, because he knew where to go, where he was habituated into survival, where we mastered hiding in primal instincts, where we were engaged in the cycle of provocation and retribution. That was where we were able to survive. Had my dad gone forward, we would have looked at the second bomb in the rearview mirror. We would have had the luxury of being around people, of looking up and saying, hey, your engine is leaking. Well, maybe one day someone there who would have asked me, because no one did, how are you, son? No one ever did. And I want to impress you to understand the power of moving forward by, we have the luxury in Western nations to unearth that pause button and press it. No, I will not let the beast turn me into a beast. No, I will not engage in your cycle of provocation and retribution. And when you get tired from killing each other and you come to me, I will not sell you more weapons. What I will do, I want to force you to sit right here to learn how to not to torch a town to light up your cigar, to learn what it means to build consensus and compromise. What we need to do as people here, everywhere, because we are unknowingly enabling the fire, because we are the ones with deep pockets, we need to go back to understand that to end this, we move forward by redefining, reclaiming the definition of peace that lost its meaning with many adjectives: security-based peace, prosperity-based peace, ethnic province-based peace, security wall-based peace, which I believe one day someone will take the microphone and say, tear down this wall. And the second thing we need to do is I need to implore you, those of you who have non-profit organizations for peace, to understand, for as long as there are no weapons for peace, there's no interest in peace. It's a non-profit industry. We have to turn all these non-profits into social enterprises, because we need to prove that the return on investment of prosperity and construction are higher than the return on investment of destruction. And maybe then we can stop wars. And lastly, I will tell you this. I need you to implore you to understand that the frontier, again, is the family room. That's where you need to be present as a parent and impress upon fathers and mothers to parent their children for all human beings. To understand that everybody needs to be magnetizing you by their unique color, appearance, and behaviors, that you need to see as a child everyone as unique with a unique journey. And in the family room, I implore you, every one of you with a family, or you can impress upon the new generation, to know that it's your job to filter those evil, auto-judge mode enablers from your family room. Thank you. We need to Put these guys out of business because they are radicalizing people in this country and in Western nations with all these 5 things I told you. They are producing a layer of people who think it's their holy duty and holy calling and patriotic duty to take matters in their own hands, because what we're doing with all these 5 elements of venomous rhetoric, etc., we are equipping the anguish, the fear, the scared, the confused, the sad with prejudiced convictions. We're building up a new layer in this country who has access to weapons to become militantly radical. We need to stop that. So in the end, I will tell you, in that family room, we need to not let any thoughts of revenge dry the tears of sorrow. We need to, in contrast to that, inspire a new generation by an outlook of harmony for all living beings. May peace prevail in the United States of America, and may peace prevail in the world. Thank you.